Walk with me.
O God, why hast thou cast us off forever? Why does thine anger smoke against the sheep of thy pasture? Remember thy congregation, which thou hast purchased of old, the rod of thine inheritance, which thou hast redeemed, this Mount Zion, wherein thou hast dwelt. Lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy hath done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thine enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations, and they set up their ensigns for signs. A man was famous according to as he lifted up axes upon the thick trees. But now they break down the carved works thereof at once with axes and hammers. They have cast fire into thy sanctuaries, and they have defiled by casting down the dwelling place of thy name to the ground. They said in their hearts, let us destroy them together. They have burnt up all the synagogues of God in the land. We see not our signs. There is no more any prophet, neither is there among us any that knoweth how long. O God, how long shall the adversary reproach? Shall the enemy blaspheme thy name forever? Why withdrawest thou thy hand, even thy right hand, pluck it out of thy bosom? For God is my King of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. Thou didst divide the sea by thy strength, and thou breakest the heads of the dragons of the waters. Thou breakest the heads of the Leviathan in pieces, and gavest him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. And thou didst cleave the fountains and floods, and driest up the mighty rivers. And the day is thine, the night also is thine. Thou hast prepared the light and sun. Thou hast set all the borders of the earth. Thou hast made summer and winter. Remember this, that the enemy hath reproached, O I am, and that the foolish people have blasphemed thy name. Deliver not the soul of thy turtle dove unto the multitude of the wicked. Forget not the congregation of the poor forever. Have respect unto the covenant, for the dark places of the earth are full of the inhabitants of cruelty. Oh, let not the oppressed return to shame. Let not the poor and needy praise thy name. And let the poor and needy praise thy name. Arise, O God, plead thine own cause. Remember how the foolish man reproaches thee daily. Forget not the voice of thine enemies. The tumult of those that rise up against thee increases continually. Psalms chapter 74. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits that have sway over the hearts, or over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me in my seat forever, that we go not astray from henceforth and forevermore. A prayer of Abram. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, those of you on this platform and those platforms that are shared or that are apart. We thank God for you, and you. We give God the glory and the praise for all his mercy to see another day. Some of you, it might be evening. Some of you, it might be the afternoon. But we thank God anyway for you. And also, we thank God with a hand clap of praise. Yes, yes, yes. Praise, praise, praise for those of you who have been with us since the beginning, and those of you that have been thereafter and here and there's about. And we thank God for those of you that have just subscribed. We give God the glory for you, and those of you that are about to subscribe. We praise the Most High for you. Yes, calling those things that are not as though they are. Yes. Like, share, subscribe, or follow. It's up to you. But anyway, either way, we thank God for you anyway, for even just viewing for the few seconds that you do, or for the few minutes. And some of you do it to the duration, to understand, to know. And some of you just plain old nosy, trying to figure out what is this book talking about. Yes, this is what this book talking about, is what we're reading. Yes. And what we're expounding on. That's why we say walk. I say walk with me. I'm walking. As you walk, many people have something to say, and we walk and you pointing out different things in nature or different things according to a narrative or whatever that may be hidden or may not be observable or may not have been observed. This is why we say, walk with me. Yes. And also, we're in the book of Jasher. We're in the book of Jasher. Yes, chapter 56. Yes, chapter 56. And I think it was with verse 49. 56 and 49, or 29, one of the two. Yeah, 49. And the previous chapter, the previous verse, verse 48, we saw that Easau heard that his father died, or his brother died. And he came out of Mount Seir. And all of Canaan came and rose up, and they started mourning for Jacob. Because they all knew that Jacob was a just man. Jacob was a fair man. And also his sons take after that. Now, in verse 49 it reads, and Joseph and his brothers brought forth their father Jacob from that place, and they went to Hebron to bury Jacob in the cave by his fathers. And they came unto Kerith Arba, to the cave. As they came, Esau stood with his sons against Jasher and his brethren, as a hindrance in the cave, saying, Jacob shall not be buried therein, for it belongeth to us and to our fathers. Well, the fact is, it was purchased for all his kindred. In other words, anybody that is of Jacob, out of the loins of Jacob, could be buried there. Esau, even to this day, spiritually, is still fighting or trying to reclaim his birthright when it's eternally gone. The spirits are doing these things, and they know it's a done deal. You despise God, you despise your birthright, you gave it to thinking it's a joke. Some of you blaspheme the Most High in your foolishness and don't know these things have happened before. God is not crazy. He understands. See, you live in a certain time. Your little 70 years, your little 100 years, or your little 50, 40, 20, whatever year you old, God is not going to come in that time span. He doesn't work by you. You're spoiled. You're being foolish in your thought pattern. God is just not going to appear just for your sake. Who are you? You're nothing, just like me, nothing. But we can become something if we learn to please him. Then he will delight in us as we delight in him. Yes, you're nothing. But if I can win your graces, if I can win your favor, because I believe in you, I have confidence in you. Confidence is not the substance of things hoped for, the evident things are said. That's Greek talk. Confidence is like, I know you can do this. I know your strength. I read about it. I know you can do it. Confidence is like, you have confidence in your football players more than you have confidence in God. And they give you stats. You've never seen that football player. Some of you never even seen that football player even run on the field, but yet you have enough confidence in him to bet all kinds of money on him. You don't know if he's sick that day or he's going to get a spasm or a sprain or something. He's going to fall dead on the football field, but yet you still have confidence in him. But God is a sure thing. Things you don't see. I mean, you have to make this thing make sense in your head in order to have confidence in God, just like you have it in men. You work that job and you work that job 40 hours a day, or maybe some of you might have your own businesses. You don't know, it might just fall up under you. Nobody wants to do business with you for some reason or another, and it just falls from under you. You go into your investments and all these things wondering, saying, oh, I'm going to get this rich. This is going to be this yield. I'm betting on futures and all these things. This is all you're doing with investments. You're betting on futures. You're betting on the market going up and down, but you don't know it could crash. It could be no more. And right now, those of you in the United States, you are on the brink of a catastrophe. And you put your faith in everything else except for the Most High. I heard a man on social media talking about, oh, God had children. God had people before this. I mean, I haven't heard so many. See, this is why there are books taken out of the Bible. Cain and Abel married their sisters. Cain married his sisters. Adam and Eve had daughters. See, one thing about the 66 books, it does not get into detail in many things. This is why the other books were made. But then you had these entities that you call the fathers of the faith. They were the very ones that threw these out because it was not advantageous for their agenda. I digress. But anyway, let's get into this again. And Joseph and his brethren heard the words of Esau's sons, and they were exceedingly wroth. And Joseph approached unto Esau, saying, what is this thing that thou hast spoken? Surely my father Jacob brought it from thee for great riches after the death of Isaac. Now 25 years ago, or 25 years ago, and also the land of Canaan he brought from thee, and from thy sons, and thy seed after thee. In other words, I mean, I'm guilty too. We all should have a place where we can have a burial place for our families. We should have a place. We should purchase burial plots, because you're going to die. I don't care what you do. You're going to die. You're going to separate. Death means separation. If you look at it in this context, they have changed their online. I've checked it out online, but in that dictionary, and you look at the etymology of the word, you might find it. But in the dictionary online, they have changed the meaning of death. That's because they call the spirit that rode upon the horse death. Now, how can this spirit be called separation? Is there a spirit that causes separation? No. If your heart starts beating, your spirit is going to separate from the body. There should be no more separation from the body or from God. This is the ultimate goal, from God, because he is our life. In him we move, breathe, we have our being in him. Yes, we do. And if he says it's not so, then it's not so. But either way, death means separation. And then you're going to say the death followed behind him. So death rode a horse and death followed behind him. Whatever. So you got the names wrong. Everything had a name. But either way. Now, let's get into this again. Joseph approached, and then in verse 52, he said, and Jacob brought it for his sons and his seed after him for an inheritance forever. And why speakest thou these things this day? And Esau answered, saying, thou speakest falsely and ordered lies. For I sold not anything belonging to me in all this land, and thou sayest, neither did my brother Jacob buy aught belonging to me in this land. Now, think about it. These things happen. You go back into the earlier part of the book of Jubilees. You go back into even this book, Jasher. These are parts of the books of the Bible, the true Bible. These are the books of beginnings. Yes, it is. With the book of Enoch being the ultimate book of beginnings. And what the angel was talking, these are the books of Moses, really, to tell you the truth. Moses written, these books was written by Moses because the angel was conveying these things unto Moses. And the books got lost. They got lost. Some of them, the book of the law got lost in Egypt some kind of way. And it had to be reissued. And Moses was chosen the one to remind them of the law, and it was issued to him that it might be written down again. There was a book of the law, and then there was a historical book, which we are reading now. Even when you read the 4 books of the law, you're reading the historical account. You're not reading actually the book of the law. But you can take those things and extract them from the historical account and make a book which contains all of the laws. Yes. Now, some reason that got taken out. But either way, Esau told Jacob. Esau told the children of Jacob that was a lie, and Esau was the one lying. And Esau spoke of these things in verse 54 in order to deceive Joseph. He's talking about the second in the line of kings of Egypt. The second in a command, should I say, with his words. For Esau knew that Joseph was not present in those days when Esau sold all belonging to him in the land of Canaan. But yet Joseph said these things, and that it was repeated to him. This is why we must always teach our children and tell them our secrets and tell them of what we have. Yeah, we got wicked children, yes. But then you make things so that they cannot just do like Esau, as we're going to read. And when Esau sold all belonging to him in the land of Canaan to Jacob, and Joseph said unto Esau, surely my father inserted these things with thee in the record of purchase. Now see, there was a record, and testified the record with witnesses, and behold, it is with us in Egypt. In other words, Joseph said, hey man, I got the proof, I got receipts. See, you lying. Now Esau answered, saying unto him, bring the record, all that thou wilt find in the record, so will we do. It's the same thing when you have left the record, or you left the last will and testament of things, or things that are so. You give it to your children. And these days you would probably give it to your lawyer too. If you a man of wealth, even if you don't have much wealth, it's best to get some type of record going of what you intend, or how you intend, whatever little or whatever lot you have, or how much you have. You might have little or a lot still. If you have offspring, they're going to fight over it. They're going to be bitter against each other. But might have that one or two that might say, I don't care. I just love my daddy and I don't care what y'all do. So you come to the assumption that the other two really didn't love their dad that much, or their mother. I mean, you just leave this out of just love. I mean, whether you leave little or nothing, it's still love. And now, verse 57. And Joseph called unto Naphtali his brother, and he said to him, hasten quickly, say not, and I pray thee, to Egypt, and bring all the records, the record of the purchase, the sealed record, and the open record, and all the first records in which all the transactions of the birthright are written. Fetch thou, and thou shalt bring them unto us hither, that we may know from them all the words of Esau and his sons, which they spoke this day. And Naphtali hearkened to the voice of Joseph, and he hastened and ran down to Egypt. And Naphtali, now this was the one you've read before, he was light on his feet. Not that he was floating, but he was just developed some type of way that he was light on his feet, that he could run pretty fast, you know, just like you would see a track wreck. And they trusted Naphtali to run on foot than any of the stags. And there were upon the wilderness, he would go upon the ears of corn without even crushing them. This guy ran fast. And when Esau saw that Naphtali was gone to fetch the records, he and his sons increased their resistance against the cave. And Esau and his people rose up against Joseph and his brethren to battle. Now see, Esau was always looking for something, because in the record, the vision they had was that Jacob would take Canaan and Esau took the gold and all. This is one thing about Esau. He's going to always go after resources. He's always going after resources. And he's going to take it by force if he has to. Just like we see the spirit that, or should I say those that are of Esau, or the spirit that's in Esau, or of those that are doing these things. Going after your resources. They could be any color, doesn't matter, or any hue of skin, but they go after your resources. In other words, having that, should I say, thievery mentality, whether it's on a national, or should I say global, local, city, state, whatever scale that is. Esau, that spirit, that mindset, should I say, that mindset that Esau have, these devils also put in those. Even those that come to your house calling themselves trying to do a lick have the same spirit, going after your resources, after what you have enriched yourself with, or what you have bought or have labored for your own enjoyment, comfort, or entertainment. Yes, this is what they go out. In other words, you owe them. You owe them nothing. Because these are people that mainly are lazy. They are entitled, and they are lethal. Look out for that "you owe me" spirit. And it's not just what people would say in black people or thieves. It's on every scale. Look, you got people that will give their money to a certain, whether it's in taxes or whether it's in donations or what. And these people who's supposed to be governed and use this to promote a certain cause, they take it and misconstrue it and enrich themselves and buy their own pleasures and they enact their own, should I say, imaginations with the money that was entrusted to them. Even your taxes, your income tax and all these other things, or your 401ks or your retirements and all. This is wickedness. This is what you would call, what would be the word, should I say? Embezzlement. You embezzled. They cause you to lose your money, and then they would lie and tell you that it was not so, or they would use some other lame excuse as to why they used your money for their own pleasure and enjoyment or their own agenda. Now, even for war, you have nations that have taken the monies to even do an unjustified war with other nations, buying all kind of armaments and weapons to accomplish their agenda on other peoples. Now, this has happened for thousands of years. This is the spirit, should I say, or the mindset of Esau. It's a thief. But nevertheless, let us continue. And all the sons of Jacob and the people of Egypt fought with Esau and his men. And the sons of Esau and his people were smitten before the sons of Jacob. And the sons of Jacob slew Esau's people 40 men. Now, they killed a few of them. And Cushim, the son of Dan, the son of Jacob, was at the time with Jacob's sons, but he was about 100 cubits distance from the place of battle. For he remained with the children of Jacob's son by Jacob's bier to guard it. No, he said, you're not going to mess with his grave, or his, should I say, coffin, as we should understand that. And Cushim, or Chushim, was dumb and deaf. In other words, he couldn't hear. He couldn't talk. Still, he understood the voice of consternation. He understood the vibration of consternation among men. Now he asked, saying, why do you bury the dead, and what is this great consternation? And they answered him the words of Esau and his sons. In other words, some kind of way they communicated with him, and he understood. And he ran to Esau in the midst of the battle, and he slew Esau with the sword. That was the end of Esau. In other words, that was the Most High put that in his heart to slay him, because Esau was out of order. And he cut off his head. Oh, that's so gross. No, those things back there, see, they didn't have social media. They didn't have television that formed your mind of what is the evil. The evil, when the evil is cut off, the people rejoice. But they have many movies and news shows have even the demise of what we call Gaddafi. Some of you cheered because you did not know the whole story. See, back then they understood and they knew what that was about. Now, let us continue. And when Chushim did this thing, the sons of Jacob prevailed over the sons of Esau, and the sons of Jacob buried their father Jacob by force in the cave. And the sons of Esau beheld it, and Jacob was buried in Hebron in the cave of Machpelah, which Abram had brought from the sons of Heth for the possession of a burial place, and he was buried in very costly garments. In other words, grave robbers. This is what your people that take these bodies out of these pyramids and different caves. You go to Telerad. There's nothing there. The grave robbers took it all. It's probably down somewhere, maybe supposedly or allegedly in the Vatican, down in a basement, bones of all your patriarchs. See, these things people do, but God allowed this stuff. God allowed it. Yes, he did, for a reason. And it's all written in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and also in other various chapters in the books, the holy books of the Bible. See, the only holy book or the book of the Bible that you can really go by is mainly the Ethiopian Bible, because it contains all these books except for the book of Jasher. And some of the other books, well, you want to measure those by the law. Now, it says no king had such honor paid him as Joseph unto his father at his death. Joseph loved his daddy. No king, because his father was a king. Joseph was a prince. Matter of fact, Joseph was a prince in Egypt. No, it wasn't Moses so much. It was Joseph. You see how this can be turned around? This narrative can be so confused, and the beginning is hidden because of what they want to project to you now, today. They want to project to you that Jesus is king, that when Jesus died, that he had a vicar, and his vicar was this rock. And then they took all these things and they made the vicar of Christ, and then they made him God. And then this is where you had your colonization and men that really wanted to please their God. And they took over, and he said, you go to any nation and their king, if he be not a Christian. Then he told them they could subdue him. And what did they do? They did it. It took them thousands of years, according to the destruction of black civilizations by Chancellor Williams. It took them thousands of years to really get into Africa the way they did, because Africa put up a good fight. They put up a good fight. It took them thousands of years even in Americas, because the real Indians, the indigenous Indians, put up a good fight. A real good fight. But the only thing about it, religion and lies. You cannot believe your enemy for anything they have to say. Especially those who are infiltrated with Easau. Because they lie. Their whole thing is to take your resources. Their whole thing is to colonize your land. Because these things are in Easau. Easau had nothing but what? Mount Seir. He mingled with everybody. His seed is in many people. And this seed is evident by the way people do things. Even the Canaanites had better outlook on life than Esau did. They had a better relation with the children of Jacob than even Esau. And now Esau is demised by a servant. That's how foolish Esau was. And the same thing will come today. His demise will be by servants. Yes, the end of Esau. And now look at it. In chapter 57. Okay, let's just finish this chapter 56. And no king had such honor that as paid him as Joseph paid unto his father at his death. For he buried him with great honor, like unto burial of kings. Yes, like unto burial of kings, because he was a king. Jacob was a king among a line of kings that have pleased God. That is a king. Although God is the King of glory, yet because of his love for the Most High and that of righteousness, he's a king unto the king. Yes, the rest are just men who have great authority and held in great esteem or honor among men. That's it. Other than that, they just plain old men, nothing. And it says like this. It says, and Joseph and his brethren made mourning. I'm in verse 68. 7 days for their father. After they buried him, they made mourning. In other words, mourning can say, I can think of the things that my father did so beautifully. I can think of his righteousness. I can think of the way that he treated us as kids and babies, and I can talk about him, and I can, this is the legacy you want to leave with your sons, man. I mean, some of you can't because you've been separated by government and that wicked woman or that woman who thought she was doing so good after you. But yet you paid your child support, you did what you can, but then for some reason, things just happen. That's okay. That's not your fault. That's on that woman. She will bear her own burden in that area. Now, and it was after this that the sons of Esau waged war with the sons of Jacob. And the sons of Esau fought with the sons of Jacob in Hebron. And Esau was, I'm in chapter 57, verse 1. And Esau was still lying dead and not buried. Now, this is how much Esau was despised, really. And the battle was heavy between them, and the sons of Esau were smitten before the sons of Jacob, and the sons of Jacob slew the sons of Esau 80 men. And not one died of the people of the sons of Jacob, because Jacob was favored by the Most High. And the hand of Joseph prevailed over all the people of the sons of Esau, and he took Zepho, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, and 50 of his men captive, and bound them with chains of iron, and gave them into the hands of his servants to bring them to Egypt. A yoke. Remember what he said. Again, it happened. He put a yoke on Esau's neck. Esau hadn't broke that yoke until after. The captivity of the Persians. Esau hadn't broke that yoke. That yoke still was on Esau. Because we see that the Greeks were offspring. This is where I come from. Were offspring, or the mixed people that also in them contain the DNA of Esau. Now, he says, and what he says we get here, it says Esau, 80 men. He says now, and they took the sons of Esau, 50 of his men captive, chains of iron, and gave them into the hands of his servants to bring them into Egypt. We're going to read one more. And it came to pass when the sons of Jacob had taken Zepho and his people captive, all that remained were greatly afraid of their lives from the house of Esau. This is the yoke now. And they also, lest they also should be taken captive, and they fled with Eliphaz and some of Esau and his people. And with Esau's body, they went on their road to Mount Seir. Now, we have to really look at this. Dishonor. I mean, you look at Jacob. Jacob is laid in the streets. Jacob has been hung. Jacob has been, should I say, molested, ostracized. Everything he's built, torn down. Not only in this, what they call the new world, but also in the old world. Kill it before it grows would be a good motto to say it. Kill it before they grow. We do not want them to get above us. We do not want them to even have the armament or the capabilities of being able to defeat us. But that's not God's plan in that area. God's plan is just like Daniel saw, a small company hewn out of a mountain, a rock, will smash everything. Not only Esau, but also of the Cushites, Japhites, regardless of the hue and how mixed you are. Whatever you set up against the children of Jacob, God's going to bring it down with just a small people. It's written in the book of. See, he ain't talking about no Jesus. Jesus ain't coming with 10,000 saints. They took that from the book of Enoch. God is coming with 10,000s of his anointed. And they shall be witnesses as to the great feat that God is going to do to his enemies. Because God hated Esau because of what he did. You don't despise what God given. You don't despise those whom God has anointed. Even if he anointed you, don't despise yourself. This is God's way. And now, we're going to say with all that, we're going to say peace.
Walk with me.